Hi all students, welcome to Telikilaas. Telikilaas is brought to you by Ministry of Education, data powered by Dirago and Uridu. And we are currently on Unit 3 for Grade 12. I'm Ashia Miss from Villa International High School, and this subject is coordinated by CHSC. Now let's have a recap from the last lesson. Now, in the last class, we studied about aim, mission statements, objectives, and an introduction to strategy. Now, let's look at aims. Now, aims refers to the overall goal of the business as a whole, and mission statement is more of a written statement of the aim, and objectives are more focused and can be departmental and functional level. Which brings us to strategy. Now, strategy is how we try to achieve the objectives. Now looking into the strategy, now this was a slide I showed you in our previous lesson as well. So these are all the strategies that you are going to study. And in today's class, we will be focusing only on Ansoff matrix. Now let's have a look at today's class. But before we do, let's look at the lesson objectives. Now, by the end of the lesson, student must be able to understand what is Ansoff matrix, how Ansoff matrix is used, how to apply Ansoff matrix in answering questions. Now, let's go to today's lesson. Ansoff matrix is a tool for decision making for businesses when they are thinking of growth strategy. Now, in one side, we have market. On the other side, we have products. Here you can see existing, new, and new. So it is referring to as existing products and existing markets, and what will happen when they go into a new market with a new product. So it actually gives the company 4 options, or rather 4 strategies to move ahead when they are thinking about a growth strategy. Now let's have a look further into what is Ansoff matrix. Now, Ansoff matrix allows a business to consider a number of factors that will determine its corporate strategy. The level of investment in existing and new products, the exploitation of different markets, the growth strategy for the business, the level of risk the business is willing to accept. Now, as you can see from the matrix itself, on this side, the risk is there, arrow key moving down, risk is there, arrow key moving to the right. Now, that shows that this particular option of diversification is the most riskiest. That is because they are moving into a new market with a new product. So both the products are new to them. So it requires lots of research and also experimental things that needs to be done in order to check whether they have demand and whether the product is going to be success or not. Now looking further into Ansoff matrix, as I mentioned earlier, Ansoff matrix reveals 4 possible strategies that a business might adopt. The risk becomes greater if a business moves away from its most important existing products and consumers. The further a business gets from the top left-hand corner of the matrix, the greater the risk. Now looking again into the matrix, first we have penetration. Market penetration, that is existing market and existing products. This is the most safest method actually. If the companies think about same market and new products, it is product development. If they try to sell existing products to a new market, it's called market development. And the most riskiest of all is building a new product to a new market. So these are all the strategies which we will now look further into. Now let's have a look at market penetration. Now, market penetration, more of the same product to the present markets. Market penetration is to achieve growth in existing market with existing products. Now, how do the companies achieve this? One is to increase brand loyalty, make sure the brand is very well known to the customers, so they become permanent customers or repeated purchasers. So they always buy the product. Another way they can do is encourage customers to use product more regularly. As you can see in this picture, it's about cornflakes. Now, cornflakes was first introduced as a product for breakfast cereal, but later, to further extend its life cycle and also to make people use more of this product regularly, for different purposes, they actually came up with different ideas to use cornflakes, like was using as a crust for chicken before frying, or maybe some sort of desert like things, and where you actually create other so many things, or introducing the product as a snack for people to eat during other times other than breakfast. So this actually encourages customers to use product more regularly, hence giving the company more market share. So as I said before, this is the least risky method. Why? Because it is the same product, you are very well known with the same your own product, you are familiar with your product, and it's again your same number of customers, so you know the customers also well. So by making them use your product more, you increase your market share. Now let's have a look at the next strategy, that is product development. Now in product development, it is concerned with marketing new or modified products in existing markets. Now this is a good strategy to adapt where product life cycle is very short, or where technology changes very fast. Now, as you can see in the picture, it's iPhone. As you all know, every year Apple will produce a new version of the iPhone. Now, what is their main purpose actually? iPhone is linked with technology, so technology is changing very fast, and then people like the new technology all the time. So in order to adapt this new technology, every year they introduce this new featured product. So it's a product development. The same customers, their customers didn't change. It's for the same customers they create a new product. So every year they have this. So it's also a further extension onto their product life cycle. So the product stays in the market for a long time. But however, a strategy of product development requires a bit of investment. Now you need to do a bit of research on what kind of changes you can bring to your existing products to make it a new product. Now moving on to the next strategy, which is market development. Now market development is entering with the same products, your existing product, to a new market. The most basic form of this strategy is entering geographically new markets. For example, a UK-based company might decide to enter into another European country because they found that there is an opportunity there where people are willing to buy your product. But however, it's not always easy, as different countries may have different tastes and cultures. An example of market development is from Starbucks here. One way to reach a new market is to enter a new retail channel. Now, Starbucks has stepped beyond selling coffee beans only in its stores and now sells beans in grocery stores. So some stores they will sell their Starbucks coffee beans. So this enables Starbucks to reach consumers that do not visit its coffee houses. So other people, they reach out through this retail channel. So this is also a market development. Now we are left with the last strategy, which is diversification. Now, diversification is, like I said, the riskiest method. Now, diversification occurs when new products are developed for new markets. It helps businesses to move away from depending on existing markets and products. Now, the advantage of this method is that if one product fails, they will have other products to compensate on. So, if one product fails, they still have the other products. But if you are in only selling one product, let's say you have a restaurant, and if the demand for your restaurant falls, then your business is gone. But let's just say you also have a supermarket. In that case, even if your restaurant is losing business, you still have your supermarket to go on. So this is the advantage of diversification. But then again, this is actually most riskiest, because you have to come up with a new product, you have to deal with new set of target market, or your new set of customers. So this can actually put the business at a risk, because you don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. Now, example of successful diversifications. Now, Apple was originally producing PCs, computers, personal computers, but now they are more into mobile devices. Virgin Group moved from music production to travel and mobile phones. So Virgin Group is one of the bigger conglomerates where they have wide variety of diversified product range. Walt Disney moved from producing animated movies to theme parks and vacation properties. Canon diversified from a camera making company into producing an entirely new range of office equipment. So these are from different companies that have gone into diversification and have become successful and are still successful today. Now, we saw the 4 strategies, but now you might wonder, what is the best option from all of this for a company? Now let's have a look. Now, what is the best option? Actually, there is no best option. It actually depends on the situation. It depends on the company objectives. It depends on the available resources. So therefore, company needs to take into account the internal, external factors. They should build on their strengths, explore opportunities, and then they have to set realistic goals based on their resources, and it also has to be agreed with all the stakeholders involved. Now, I'll give you a few examples of how company can actually decide which strategy to take. Suppose they found an opportunity in another country. You go for a market development. Suppose the company found that there's still opportunity in the current market. You go for market penetration. And let's say the company is faced with fierce competition, a lot of substitute goods around. So basically, there's no way you can get more demand. So well, that's your chance for diversifying. Go into another industry and set a new product to a new set of customers. If the company is very strong in resources and they have a lot of money and they can spend it on research and development, then you can produce new products. So always check the case study, what the question is about, and then you decide what best strategy is for that particular company. Sometimes the questions will be where they talk about a strategy that they have already done, and then you have to explain on which category it falls into. All right, now moving on, let's discuss a question now. Now, before we go into answering this question, let me first outline you a couple of things. Now, this particular question I have taken is from the old syllabus from January 2015. The question says, discuss how Paul Smith could have used Ansoff metrics to help the business increase sales. The question is for 8 marks. You have to keep in mind that 8 marks is equal to 12 minutes, approximately 1.5 minutes per mark. So please make sure you keep this in mind when you actually answer the questions. Now, how are the marks actually allocated? Let's have a look. Now in Unit 3, the marks allocation is a bit different from your other units, and usually the command word for this particular question or the 8-mark question will be discuss. Now, there are 3 levels to this particular 8-mark question. The level 1, where you will get a maximum of 1 to 2 marks, is where you have weak knowledge definition, not in context. And level 2, where it's up to 3 to 5 marks. Here you have to talk about accurate knowledge, understanding, applied in application to context. Chains of reasoning should be there, cause, effect, and answer. If your answer is unbalanced, you are not going to reach level 3. So you need to balance your answer to actually reach the higher level, that is level 3, which is 6 to 8 marks. So accurate and thorough knowledge is required to achieve full marks, and it should be in context. Assessment should be balanced. There should be logical chain of reasoning with quantitative and qualitative information. It should be well contextualized. So this is how the marks are distributed. Now, let's have a look at how to build the answer. Now, building the answer is the key to actually getting the marks. Now, always time your answer. Like I said before, 1 mark is equal to 1.5 minutes. So it is always important to time. So take a watch to your exams. It's very, very important. Now, how to start? Now, some students are sometimes stuck in how to start the answer. So I always advise my students to start with the definition, so that then you don't actually get stuck about what to write. And then in analyzing, you follow because, it leads to, therefore. If you try to bring these 3 things into your analysis, then you cover the entire thing very nicely. That is the reasoning and the reasoning of effects and causes. How to bring the application? Now, when you read the case study, you should you should think about what type of company is this, what are its customers, what is their target market, what industry it is in, the company's product. So while writing the answer, make sure you bring in this into your answer. That is application. By writing the company's name here and there will not give you any analysis marks, sorry, any application marks. So you have to refer to the product, you have to refer to the industry, you have to refer to the customer, and so on. So that's how you actually get the application marks. Now let's have a read through in the case study. Now this case study is about Paul Smith. Evidence A. Paul Smith is the chief executive, principal shareholder, and chief designer of the business that bears his name, Paul Smith Limited. It is a global concern trading in 82 countries with 537 shops, including franchises. Paul Smith is more than just a fashion designer. Since his first shop opened in Nottingham in 1970, Paul Smith Limited has expanded to become a good example of British creativity, celebrated for its product design. This includes cars, stationery, textile, rugs, cameras, and bicycles. The boutique shops where vintage records and rare books sell alongside strippy socks and pinstrip suits played a large part in producing sales revenue last year of £179 million. As the design museum director Diane Sujit says, Paul Smith has become the most successful British designer of the past 50 years. So as you can see, he has expanded his market. He has also expanded his product line. Now there's also an evidence B given. Hello, my name is Paul Smith. The design museum takes you into the world of fashion designer Paul Smith, a world of creation, inspiration, collaboration, and beauty. Celebrating his career to date and exploring future developments, the exhibition shows Paul Smith's influences and fashion designs. It explains the rise of this famous British business, which has become one of the leading fashion brands in the world. Looking at the impressive scale of Paul Smith's global business operation, the exhibition draws on Paul Smith's personal archive, from the company's beginnings in Nottingham to its international prominence today. The exhibition shows how Paul Smith's thoughtful and creative ideas, together with an understanding of the roles of designer and retailer, have created the basis for the company's lasting success. It offers a unique insight into the magnificent mind of Paul Smith. So let's have a look at the question once again. Discuss how Paul Smith could have used Ansoff metrics to help the business increase sales. So in order to increase sales, how could have Paul used Ansoff metrics? Now, as I said before, Ansoff metrics has 4 options for a company, either to go with market penetration, or build a new product, or go into a new market, or diversify. And based on what we have read in the case study, it shows that he has gone into diversification, he has built new products, he has also gone into new market development. So let's have a look at an outline of the answer. In the introduction part, that is where you bring in the definitions or the knowledge part. So Ansoff Matrix is a decision-making model that can be used to help business analyze its strategic options or opportunities for growth and assess the degree of risk or resource requirement for each option. Now, the answer in your answer, you don't actually have to draw the matrix and explain everything, but you just put in the knowledge of it into it. So that is the introduction part. Our next part actually is the analysis and the application. Keep in mind that application should be throughout the answer, not just in one part. The answers, all the points must be well explained in context. So from case study, we can identify things like Ansoff matrix could have been used by Paul to help identify whether there's an opportunity for sales growth. Like when he expanded from Nottingham into new geographical markets, he might have used Ansoff matrix. Potential products or market entries are plotted on the matrix, and the opportunities for growth and associated risk are considered, like when he moved into new product lines. The evidence clearly shows that Paul Smith Limited has expanded the business from its beginning as a retailer in Nottingham and moved into started with UK and he moved into global business across a range of product categories, and as a consequence enjoys a high level of sales revenue. So by using Ansoff matrix, he was able to come up with strategies for his business which ended him of having very high sales revenue. And case study also talks about how successful his business is. So using Ansoff matrix may have helped identify the relative opportunities and risk when considering which new products to introduce to Paul Smith Limited range, which now extend beyond the core business. So he has started slowly entering into new markets, coming up with new products, and then also moving, going beyond what he was planning initially. And then, since it is a discuss question, you have to balance the answer off. So you need to bring in evaluation. So in evaluation, you can talk about Ansoff matrix is just one decision making model, and there could be many other models that he could have used, and that could have contributed him to actually become successful. So thereby you actually balance your answer a bit. Now, I hope you have understood answering that question. You can try it on your own to answer that question. Now, before we end off, let's just have a little bit of recall what we learned today. So we talked about Ansoff matrix. It is a decision-making model for the company's growth strategy. Ansoff matrix has 4 options: market penetration, product development, market development, and diversification. Also, we had a look how to write an 8-mark answer. Start with the definition, write to analysis point, write to evaluation point, and application should be throughout. A conclusion is not required for an 8-mark question. So that brings us to an end of today's lesson. And I would like to thank Ms. Shinaza, Head of Department of Business, CHSC, in coordinating this subject for Telikilaas. And to all the students, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and hope you have understood today's lesson, and hope to see you again with next class. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask your teachers about any doubt that you have. And please try the question. This lesson will also be available in the website. Thank you.